how long should you be studying for your architecture exams for the ARE 5.0? This is a question I get all the time. Like, how many hours do I need to study? How many hours a day did you study? How many weeks? How many years? All that good stuff. So today I'm going to take you through what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. There's some key things I really want you to know what to stay away from, because there's a lot of information out there. So here are my key tips on how to study effectively for your architecture exams so you can pass, and most importantly, so you don't burn out. Hey everyone, my name's Bryn. I'm a licensed architect here in California, and I am here to help you pass your architecture exams so you can become the architect you're meant to be. If this is your first time with me, hi, how are you? If this is your millionth time, welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk to you all about how long you should be studying. So, according to NCARB, they come out with their numbers every year that tells you roughly all the demographics, what the pass rates are, how long people average take to take the exam, all that good stuff. I love looking at those numbers because it's really interesting to see where people are at. And it's also really enlightening because so many people come to me saying, hey, it's September or October, for example, and I want to take and pass all my exams before the end of the year. And I say, good luck, but come back to me in the new year when you're ready to have a more realistic approach so that you don't completely burn out. Because the people that come to me and say that they want to pass all their exams, start studying, and then pass all their exams within a 3-month time or less, their expectations are setting them up for failure. Because when they do hit that inevitable fail or something in life comes up and there's a little bit of a roadblock, it's so easy to get disappointed or feel defeated and to give up. So my whole approach to these exams is, how can you study and take them efficiently, consistently, so that you're able to continue with them. There's 6 exams. It's not like just one, take one, be done. There's 6. Average pass rate is plus or minus 50%. They take time. And according to NCARB's numbers, the average time it takes to pass all 6 exams is 2.5 years. Now that's average. So that may mean someone does pass in a week. Don't listen to those people. And that means there are some people that take 10 plus years to take their exams. So obviously we know that's an average, but it's still a good number to look at, because if you are hitting the 1-year mark or you're hitting the 2-year mark, don't worry about it. Don't get defeated. Average 2.5 years. So if you're new to the exams, you're just now approaching them, think of that as your time frame. When I very first started, I had that goal of, I want to take and pass all of them within the first year. And I mapped it out. I even included some fails because, as I'm going to show you, that's really important. But when I failed my first exam and the months happened and I was delaying and realizing, oh shit, I still have 6 exams to pass and I'm already 4 months into this process, I realized my year wasn't, realistic necessarily. You can totally pass in a year. It's not impossible with the right strategy, but it's understanding what that schedule and strategy for you is, and then also learning how to deal with the inevitable failed exams that come with it. And that in itself can be a whole learning curve that you need to figure out how you specifically react to it. I have all sorts of resources for when you have failed your exams. I have this awesome free worksheet called the Breakthrough Worksheet. This is a way to set yourself up for success so that you already know how to handle a failed exam or what you will do next. So I'll link all these down below. I actually have a freebie library. So if you sign up and you get access to that, you'll get all these resources. So you can go around and like check out all the different things, the different resources I have for failing, for passing, for resources. Anyways, I'll put all those links below in the show notes. Set yourself up for success with realistic expectations so that you can stay consistent. So, how long should it take you to study for an exam? Let's start off, say you're brand new, you've never even taken a practice question, you haven't even opened your books yet, you actually don't even have your books yet. I'm going to start with practice management. This is the exam I recommend everyone start with. I have other videos all about the order I recommend taking them in, so you can go check those out. But I recommend starting with practice management. For this exam, I would recommend somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks to study and take your exam. You'll hear me say all the time, roughly, or according to you, or what works with your schedule, because we are all so different, right? You may work a full-time job, have a family of 6, and, be running another business on the side. That would be insane and a lot to do, but, people do it. Or you may be fresh out of school, not in a job yet, wanting to start studying before you get into a career, and you have a lot of time on your hands. So your exact study schedule is going to be specific for you. Inside the Ultimate Study Plan, which is one of our programs, I curate it. Well, I help you curate it a lot more detailed so that you really can map out exactly what that looks like for you and even know how to figure that out. But in terms of your own schedule, you can just look at your calendar to start to see what you're able to take on, basically. So I say 6 to 8 weeks because, first of all, so say you haven't even opened your book, you're going to want that first week to just get acclimated, start figuring it out, gathering your resources, get inside my freebie library because you'll be able to get all the resources. But I have a resource guide. You're going to want to download that, and you're going to want to look at what the practice management recommended resources are. You're also going to want to download the ARE 5 handbook and just go to the exam you're focusing on. So for example, practice management. Again, use this for whatever exam you're taking, but this will hopefully just, get you know what I mean, right? You got it. You got the ARE handbook. You've got my resource guide. Now you need to start gathering your resources and narrowing it down. There's certain resources that are top-notch, can't go away with, or you can't not have. For example, Architect's Handbook of Professional Practice. This is going to be your Bible, especially for pro practice exams, especially for practice management. So, all right, first week, I've gathered the things, I've got my book, probably joined the Ultimate Study Plan so that I can map this all out and have a good plan going into it. Joined the ABC club so that I have all my resources to start diving into as soon as I'm ready to study. But so you're gathering information, right? You're getting it all dialed in. You've gone through the ARE handbook so you know what the different sections are. Just browse it. Get an idea of what you even need to be focusing on. Now you're going to start your studying. So I say weeks. So that's your first week. Week 2 through 6, so 4 weeks, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then by week 6. So those 4 weeks, you're really just getting into the content. You're studying, you're making flashcards, you're reviewing the flashcards at the end of a study session or at the end of the week. You're even maybe starting to dive into a couple practice questions, maybe smaller pop quizzes. You're not necessarily doing a full exam yet because you're really just gathering the information. I really recommend not just focusing on one type of studying. So for example, you don't want to necessarily just get a book, Handbook of Professional Practice, read it cover to cover, and then say, okay, great, I'm going to go take a practice exam. Now I'm going to go take the exam. What is going to be the most optimal way to study for these exams is more holistic approach. So you're going to involve a lot of different types of studying, like different study methods. Again, I have tons of resources on this. Go check it out. But this is going to look like, hey, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to study this chapter. I'm maybe going to do some highlights, maybe some Cornell notes. I'm going to do some flashcards. Then I'm going to maybe go for a walk. And while I'm walking, I'm going to listen to an audio regarding the subject. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to take a little pop quiz based on that subject. So you're wanting to approach the exams in a way that's not just one way, one-sided. And then even bonus points is if then you can speak about it out loud or you can teach it. When we can teach things, we start really understanding things at a deeper level. So whether that's through a study group or someone at home, being able to really talk through what you're learning is going to help you. I'm going to have another video about this, but I want you to know, especially if you're just starting out, these exams are not about memorization. They're really about understanding. And so that's why I don't recommend just going about it like you would maybe typically in school where you're just reading a book and you're expecting them to go in and answer the questions. You need to understand the information. So I'm not saying like wait till week 5, 6, 7 to start taking practice quizzes or exams. However, the practice exams that are long, like on NCARB's website, are fabulous. Totally recommend. But it can be overwhelming or intense to do one of those full exams. So wait for that later. But during this interim time when you're really learning the content, just take those pop quizzes. We have pop quizzes, 5, 10 questions, 20 questions inside the ABC Club. Designer Hacks is a great one for pop quizzes or like smaller condensed version of quizzes so that you can be solidifying information as you're going through. Now, week 6, 7, you're getting closer to your exam date. You've already scheduled it, by the way. I recommend scheduling it like week 1 or 2 when week 1, you're planning this all out. You already know what your study routine is going to look like over the next few weeks, and you've set that date so that you have something to work towards. Now, towards the later time, let's say 8 weeks. We're just going to use 8 weeks for now. I think pro practice for your first exam, give yourself 8 weeks. It's no rush. Just taking the exam itself is going to be a learning lesson of what it's even like to sit there for 3-4 hours for an exam, how you react to the exam when you're sitting there, what the real questions are like, what the real experience is like. So give yourself a little bit of time and grace for that first exam. Okay, so let's say 8 weeks for that first exam. The last week of, like the week of your exam, basically, like week 8, take it easy. This is not the time to cram. It's not the time to bring in new resources. Like whatever you have had so far, you've got for the exam. You're not bringing in anything new. You're just solidifying the information and you're really focusing on relaxing and calming yourself and mentally prepping for this exam. You're getting out, you're moving your body, you're eating well, you're sleeping well. The worst thing you can do for your exam is cram, pull all-nighters, not eat well, not take care of yourself. Because you're going to go into that exam and you're going to be mentally spent. And even if you pass, you're going to finish that exam and be like, there's no way in hell I want to do that again because that was so draining. I'm serious. Like I know we have people in some of our programs who have passed an exam and then who like don't even want to go take one again because, well, they want to, but their body is and their mind is procrastinating, saying, I don't want to go through that again. So take it easy. Give yourself that grace period. That last week, do whatever meditations you need to do whatever whatever calming things that help you, whether that's getting out in nature, whether that's yoga, going for a run. It doesn't have to all be exercise, although that's very helpful, but it's even spending time with friends and family. That's something else. People will be like, oh, I can't go be with people or do anything except for studying because I have my exam this week. This is the week to maybe go to a dinner with someone that you love to hang out with and talk to them about your exam if you feel comfortable, and maybe even try to explain something or go for a walk and explain what you're seeing that might be on the exam. Giving yourself those optimistic, what word am I thinking of? Not optimistic, those productive quality moments before your exam is you helping set yourself up for success for your exam. It's really easy to get into perfectionist mode with these exams or hunker down and not talk to anybody. But 2.5 years is a long time to do that. And so if you want to stay consistent and you want to have the most successful outcome for this process, then don't shut everybody else out and don't completely change your entire world. Okay, so that's that last week. Up until then, and also that last week, still, take a full practice exam. That's not cramming, that's just prepping. So you're going to want to be taking your exams, reviewing flashcards, reviewing notes, reviewing any study guides, checklists. Inside the Ultimate Study Plan, we have like a checklist that these are the things. Make sure you know this. So just make sure that those are the things you've solidified. So that last week really is that kind of prep, both mentally and for the exams. Okay, so now you've taken your exam. Do you go home and start studying immediately for the next one? No, I highly don't recommend that. I know it's easy to do, but again, it's because these are a lot. It's really worth, first of all, celebrating the fact that you got in there and you took it. No matter what the outcome is, it's still a huge feat getting in there and taking it. So you want to celebrate. You want to do an exam debrief. We have this inside Mind Over ARE, and something that's really important that we show our members how to do is how do you debrief after the exam so that you can learn from what worked, what didn't work, and take that into the next exam. So you want to do that. You want to celebrate, decompress, and just be for a minute before you're just diving into the process again. So I usually recommend like a week for that. Not much more than that, because you want to stay with your routines that you've already created. At week 6, 7, 8, you've now created these habits of this routine and the study sessions and whatever. You're starting to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and you don't want to just leave that all behind. You want to bring that into your next exam. So give yourself a week, then the next week, start it again. For, say, next you're taking project management. I wouldn't necessarily recommend 8 weeks at that point. I would recommend more like 6. So you're even, and 6 including that 1 week of like prepping, because you already have most of the resources for project management likely. You already have a good idea of what to expect, like what your routines are going to look like. So that 1 week of kind of prep can be a little bit more condensed, and you're also reviewing some topics. So for that next exam, even 4 to 6 weeks could work. So what I would recommend is if you are doing like big picture, so say you have 6 exams and you start, okay, I'm going to need 8 weeks for this first one. And then I'm going to need 6 weeks for this one. And then whatever that looks like, go through and just add those up. Then figure in a couple fails. And this isn't because you want to fail. You're not manifesting a fail. But if you set up this super tight schedule, like I'm saying, like 6 weeks and then 1 week and then all that, and you don't create any buffers in there, whether it's for events or holidays or you're sick one week or something comes up at work, you got to factor in stuff like that. And then you also need to factor in a fail or two. When I was going through it, I factored in a fail for PPD, PDD, and I'd have to look back at my calendar, but I think maybe one more. I ended up failing more than what I factored in. And so a lot of my schedule just went flying out the window. But if you're starting from this beginning, also, if your schedule goes flying out the window at some point, it's fine. You can always recalibrate and get back to it. But if you're just starting this out, at least factor in some of this stuff so that when it happens, you're not like, oh my God, I have to burn it all to the ground because I didn't hit my thing or, whatever it is. Just factor that in. Bonus, say you pass it when you factored in a fail. Well, now you're even like ahead of schedule. So you're actually factoring in ways to win and like make yourself even like go faster. Does that make sense? So factor whatever that is for you. Maybe you haven't had any construction administration experience, or you've never even set foot on a job site. Maybe CE is one that you want to factor in a fail for. Again, we're not quote unquote manifesting it. We're just being practical, and so that we know what to do if it happens. That will really set you up for success. That will give you a really clear idea. And now you can understand why I'm not saying like, okay, it's going to take you exactly this amount of time to study, this amount, here's my Excel sheet, and try to hit 3 hours and 28 minutes per day, because that's not realistic. So hopefully with that information, you can gather it. You can sit down, even like put this on again, pause me, write down ideas, or get inside the ultimate study plan where I'm giving you a Notion setup and I'm giving you all this stuff. And I'm literally giving you the 6 week by week, what you need to study. If you want it given to you, go get inside the ultimate study plan. But if you want to DIY it, sit down with this, pause it, write this out, and then that will give you such a clear picture of when you're going to take your next exam and when you could potentially be done with these exams. Before we go, I want to give you what not to do, because here's some things that I see often done that are huge mistakes. First of all, do not, I guess you can if you want, but I would highly recommend not tracking every minute of your studying, meaning you don't need to keep an Excel sheet where you write down every minute, every study session, because the quantity of studying, the hours you study, will not equate to a pass. I have seen people post on forums and stuff, their Excel sheets. This is exactly when and how I studied. I studied this amount of time, this amount of days a week. This is how I passed. And I have seen many people be really hard on themselves because they didn't hit as many hours as last time, or they're not hitting the hours this week that they're supposed to be hitting, or it's just so overwhelming getting in this perfectionist mode to have this all laid out where the amount of time you're spending tracking this could just be done doing a 5-question practice quiz. Again, the type of studying, the quality of studying is what is important, really understanding the information, the amount of studying that you do. Even if it is 6 to 8 weeks, like I say, if you have shitty sessions during that time, it won't matter. You could spend 6 months doing like distracted studying twice a day, and it wouldn't equate the same as quality study sessions for 6 to 8 weeks. So you've got to figure out what that looks like for you. You have to figure out if that means 90 minutes a study session and then that's it, or maybe only like a 5-hour sprint during the weekend because you have that time, and then little blips during the week. You have to figure out what you work best with. For me personally, it actually, like those longer marathons of studying do typically work well because it gets like takes me a minute to get into it. And then finally, once I'm into it, I can stay in it. So the shorter ones often were a little harder for me. So I would do less frequent, but more quality study sessions, where other people, it might be more helpful to do more frequent, but not as long. So again, figure out what works for you, but just don't be so intense about it needing to be a specific amount or look a specific way. Trash the Excel sheet. Nobody freaking cares. You're never going to look at it again. You don't need that. Okay. That's my kind way of being hard. Is that kind or mean? With that said, also don't do like 12-hour days where you're studying insane or 40-hour a week study sessions. That's so intense. Like your brain needs a break. Even like I'm saying, those marathon sessions, I'd still take a break here and there to like stare out at the tree outside or give your eyes a break, give your brain a break. If you're finding yourself in a session reading a page and like having to reread it because you have no idea what you just read, give yourself a break. Get up, go away, go lay in the grass, go watch a funny video. Like just give yourself a break and then come back, because those are the bad quality study sessions that aren't going to take you anywhere. So just don't allow yourself to get there. If you're finding yourself over and over and over being in those type of study sessions, maybe it's time to kind of reevaluate what is making you feel that way. Because it might be something outside the content. Like maybe you failed this exam a couple times and you're just really not excited about taking it. Maybe you're dealing with a past failure, and so studying again is bringing up those emotions. Or maybe you have something else going on in your life, and so you're having a really hard time being able to focus on this. If you're finding that study session after study session after study session, you're really not able to get in it, then it's time to kind of reevaluate and see what that block is, because that's not how you're going to pass. So if something like that's happening, you want to get inside Mind Over ARE. But if we don't have a cohort open available right now, reach out to us or reach out to me, DM me, or write me a comment, or go check out I have tons of videos about like procrastination, other things, but just notice that, because that's not the type of sessions that you want to have. Okay, the other things is studying for all of it at once. I know that there are people in the ARE world that do recommend studying for all 6 exams at once, taking them one after another. I highly, highly don't recommend it, especially because what we do here at Be Young Design, Design, Create, Inspire, Mind Over ARE, Ultimate Study Plan, all of these programs that I have, the hundreds of people, thousands of people now that I have helped get through these exams and help pass, the one thing that leads to the most burnout is this expectation that you need to have it all done, have it done quickly, and consolidate them all. Yeah, there are certain people that can do it, but these exams are intense. They're really gnarly. Like taking a 3-hour exam, 4-hour exam is huge. Now, expecting yourself to be able to take a 18-hour or a 20-hour exam, it's just not realistic. And yeah, maybe you're going to get done a little bit faster, but is it really worth it? Maybe it is worth it for you. That's awesome. There's resources out there that can help you. I recommend taking it one at a time. Now, with that said, like I mentioned with PJM, you may be studying for PCM and you'll notice that there's some overlap for project management. It's great. It's a foundation and it's building you up. So when you get to project management, maybe you don't need as long to study. You're able to dive into some of the content that you already knew, but at a little bit more of like a surface level or more of like a recap, and then go deeper into some of the other things. Great. It's a foundation, but looking at them as a whole, I personally don't subscribe to that. So that's my recommendation. The other thing is cramming. I mentioned that last week of before your exam, relaxing and doing some review, some practice exams, not bringing in new content and not cramming. If you're staying up the night before and like studying until 6 a.m. and your exam's at 6:30 a.m., maybe that works for you, but it's not the way to successfully get through these exams in a healthy way, because again, that will lead to burnout. There's so many things that will lead to burnout. If this was one exam, I know I've said this a couple times, but if it was one exam, I might have different recommendations. But because this is over a 2-year process, there's 6 exams, you are likely working or have family or have outside life happening. Take it easy, be easy on yourself, and have these healthy strategies so that you can get through it consistently. Many people that I see that take it, do these things that I don't recommend, and then fail, burn out, and it's years until they're even willing to go back to it. So don't have that be you. I have so many resources, like I've said, anywhere from free to premium resources, everything in between. So wherever you are in this journey, go find a resource that works for you. Get inside our resource hub where you can get all of our free resources. And then from there, wherever you need to go, I am here to help you. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any experience that is different, or what worked for you, or how long you studied for your exams, where you're at in the process. I love to talk to you, love to connect. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment. If you are over on the podcast, then also subscribe. Please leave us a review. It is so helpful for people to find us. And come hang out with me on Instagram at BeYoungDesign. DM me. Love chatting with you guys all in the DMs and hearing when your next exam is. I have a little calendar where I put people's exams so I can root for you and be there for you virtually, of course. But yeah, I'm here to help you succeed and get you to that license. Super exciting. I will see you soon. Go check out this next video too, and let me know when you have your study schedule all penned out. All right, talk soon. Bye.